Cine Universe Explained Presence. A sheep without a shepherd. The story starts in a small town in Thailand. Here, we meet Jay, a very regular guy who runs a small electronics repair shop. He is not rich, but his life is peaceful. He has his wife, Yu, and their 2 lovely daughters by his side. They are his entire world. Jay's biggest hobby is watching movies, especially thrillers. He often brags that he has seen over 1,000 films. He knows famous scenes and twists by heart. This obsession, which seems harmless now, will be important later. Jay is a very religious Buddhist. Every morning, he goes to the temple, lights incense, and prays for one thing: may my family always have peace. His 2 daughters are named Ping Ping and Anan. Together, their names form Pingan, which means peace and safety. This name choice feels sadly ironic, given what is coming. One summer, his oldest daughter, Ping Ping, is excited about a school summer camp. She brings the form home, asking her dad, "Please, Dad, just sign it so I can go." Jay smiled, ready to sign, but his wife, Yu, reminded him gently, "We have to pay the fee for that camp." The smile instantly left Jay's face. Money was already very tight. However, he looked at the pure happiness in his daughter's eyes. Slowly, he picked up the pen. Even with some worry, he signed the paper, because no matter how hard things get, a father can never say no to his daughters. The next day, Ping Ping packed her bag, excited to leave for the summer camp. She had no idea that this trip would change her life forever. At the camp, she met Suchart. This boy was always staring at her, secretly taking her photos, and constantly looking for reasons to talk to her. Suchart came from a highly influential family. His father was running for mayor, and his mother was a high-ranking police officer. People rarely dared to cross his family, which is why Suchart was spoiled and out of control. It was known that he had almost blinded a classmate before, but his family used money to quietly cover up the incident. One evening, Suchart invited Ping Ping to a party. She clearly said no, but he forced a drink into her hand. What happened next is a blur. Ping Ping could not remember anything. When she woke up the next morning, Suchart was standing right there, holding his phone with a video playing on the screen. In the video, Ping Ping was being assaulted by several boys. Suchart wore a nasty, evil smile. He told her, "If you don't come to the warehouse tonight at 8 p.m., I will show this video to everyone." Ping Ping was terrified. She couldn't speak. She was silent and trapped in fear. That night, she huddled in the corner of her room, wrapped in a blanket, shivering uncontrollably. The clock's hands were slowly creeping toward 8 p.m. Finally, she decided she had to go, because if that video came out, it would mean the end of everything: her life, her family's peace, and her future. Alone and terrified, Ping Ping stepped into the dark warehouse. He walked slowly toward her. Ping Ping stepped back. Suddenly, a bright light cut through the entire warehouse. Standing there, in the doorway, was her mother, Yu. She rushed inside and stood in front of her daughter like a solid wall. But Suchart was not scared. Instead, he laughed and showed Yu the terrible video on his phone. Yu tried to snatch the phone, but Suchart quickly hid it. He grabbed Yu's face and sneered, "Tell me now, where is your power?" Yu slapped him hard across the face. In a fit of anger, he kicked Yu hard. Ping Ping rushed forward to grab the phone, but Suchart shoved her, making her crash against a metal rack. Yu attacked again. She was no longer just a mother. She was fighting like a lioness. She grabbed Suchart's arm and bit down hard. Suchart screamed in pain. Enraged, he grabbed Yu and slammed her against the wall. Then, he put his hands around her neck and began to choke her. As Ping Ping watched her mother's breath fade, she looked around wildly. Her eyes landed on a gardening hoe. Without thinking, she swung it with all her strength. Striking Suchart on a head, he dropped to the floor instantly. His phone and car keys fell beside him. Ping Ping picked up the phone. In a mix of anger and shame, she smashed it, as if crushing all her humiliation into the dust. Then, she fell into her mother's arms, weeping. Suchart didn't move. Yu was terrified. She believed he was dead. Her first thought was to call the police, but in the next second a bigger fear took over. If the police came, her daughter would go to jail. Their house, which was old and cheap, was located next to a graveyard. Yu made a decision right there. They would bury the body behind their house. That night, he called home, but no one answered for a long time. Finally, the ringing phone woke up his younger daughter, Anan. She didn't pick up the call, but strange sounds from outside caught her attention. She crept to the window and saw her mother, Yu, digging in the dark ground. The call disconnected, and Jay knew instantly that something was terribly wrong. He checked out immediately and rushed home in a taxi. The house was quiet, but when he opened the door, his heart sank. Yu and both daughters were huddled in a corner, their eyes filled with fear. Jay understood. Something terrible had happened. Slowly, Yu told him everything. She insisted she had acted alone and would take the blame. After a long moment, he shook his head and spoke. "This enemy is too powerful. We cannot face them in a straight fight." He realized that to protect his family, a clean game would not work. Jay did not sleep that night. Every plot, every trick from the thousands of thrillers he had watched raced through his mind. Slowly, he built a perfect plan, a complete, invisible lie, from start to finish. The next morning, he took Yu and the girls back to the warehouse to retrieve the smashed phone and the car keys. Back home, he told them to stay inside. From now on, he would handle everything. Jay put on a cap and went out. He quietly approached Suchart's car and tampered with the alarm. As soon as the noise started, he saw Officer Sankan standing at a nearby food stall. Jay quickly silenced the alarm and pretended he was doing nothing. Avoiding all cameras, he drove the car to a distant sand quarry. He opened Suchart's phone, erased all video files, wiped off all fingerprints, and dumped the phone into a truck filled with sand. Next, he drove the car to the edge of a lake and sank it into the deep water. After covering up all the evidence, Jay returned home. He told his family, "Don't act like anything happened." But silence alone wasn't enough. They needed an unbreakable alibi, a flawless cover story that would keep suspicion away from them. From that moment on, every step was like a movie script. Jay staged a family trip, planning every location and every minute with extreme care. At the bus station, he spoke loudly and casually to the ticket clerk, repeatedly mentioning the exact time, place, and name of a specific boxing match. He needed this moment to be permanently stuck in the clerk's memory. From now on, every meeting, every photo, and every ticket stub was a carefully written piece of evidence, designed to make everyone believe they were far away from their town on the day of the crime. Arriving at the hotel, Jay started his tricks there too. He complained to the reception that the network was down and used this excuse to get the CCTV recordings deleted. At checkout, he intentionally caused an argument about the late fees, just to draw everyone's attention to him and make himself noticeable. Next, he took his family to several shops that had security cameras. They bought small, cheap items, just enough to ensure their presence was recorded on camera. At the boxing event itself, he even knocked over a popcorn stall, causing a small commotion. His goal that day was to be remembered, not forgotten. From morning until late at night, in every camera and every location, evidence of their presence far away from home was recorded. Only after 11 p.m. did they quietly return home. On the surface, they looked like any family coming back from a trip, but their faces were etched with stress and fear. Back home, Jay pulled out every receipt and every record of purchase. He arranged every date, every time, and every small detail with perfect accuracy. He wanted to make sure that if anyone investigated, not a single clue would point to a mistake. But at that very moment, the body buried behind their house was silently ticking, a time bomb waiting to explode. The next day, a foreman from a nearby construction site met Jay, saying he needed to finish some work close by. Jay looked at the empty pit and wondered if fate was giving him a solution. Right after the foreman left, Officer Sankan stormed onto the scene, full of rage. Without saying a word, he grabbed the foreman and beat him violently. The foreman had recently filed a complaint about Sankan's corruption, and the officer was taking revenge. Jay stood silently, watching everything, saying nothing. But the moment Sankan looked up, his eyes locked with Jay's, and his fury instantly turned towards him. Sankan yelled, swore, and was about to pull out his pistol and shoot, when another police officer stopped him. Blind with anger, Sangkan turned and shot a goat standing nearby. In that moment, a seed of dangerous hatred for Jay was planted deep inside Sangkan. A few days later, Suchart's mother, Lavanya, began to feel uneasy. At first, she thought her son was just angry because his father had slapped him. But when many days passed with no news, Lavanya's heart sank. She was devastated when she learned that Suchart's car had been found in the lake. She immediately went to the police station and demanded a full investigation. Sangkan quickly stepped forward, claiming, "I saw Jay driving that sports car." But the chief did not take action right away, knowing the personal feud between Sangkan and Jay. Still, Sangkan insisted, saying a nearby food vendor also saw it. But when the vendor was questioned, he said, "I didn't clearly see anything." With no strong leads, the police started tracing Suchart's last known activities. They found out he had attended a summer camp. As Lavanya looked through the list of students, her eyes stopped on one name, Li Ping. In that instant, the entire direction of the investigation changed. The police's focus was now fixed squarely on Jay's family. As the investigation moved forward, Jay's carefully crafted plan began to work perfectly. Ping, who had been coached by her father on every possible question, did not slip up even once during questioning. Despite the sharp questions from the police, she remained calm, direct, and confident, acting as if she truly knew nothing about the incident. When the police investigation yielded nothing, they decided to search the entire Li family house. As the officers arrived, Yu's hands began to shake. She was holding a sack of fertilizer in the yard, but as the officers stepped inside the door, the sack slipped, spilling the contents onto the ground. Yu's eyes kept darting to the spot where Suchart's body was buried. Just then, Jay stepped out and stood calmly before the police. Sangkan asked, "Do you know Suchart?" Both Jay and Yu denied it, claiming, "We have never seen a boy by that name, and a car like that has never been in our neighborhood." But Sangkan was relentless. He walked forward, pointing toward the yard. "The car was parked right here, near the graveyard." The word graveyard instantly drained the color from Yu's face. She nearly lost her balance. Sangkan immediately noticed her panic, believing he had finally found his break, but Jay quickly stepped in. Smiling, he explained, "Actually, our daughter was scared. She thought the police were confused, so she called us." Jay then presented a massive pile of receipts and bills. Everything had a logged time, date, CCTV footage proof, and payment record. The police could find no fault. They were ultimately forced to leave empty-handed. However, Lavanya, Suchart's mother, was now more desperate than ever. She refused to believe the case was simply over. She set a trap with Sangkan's help. One afternoon, Jay was eating at a restaurant. Sangkan sat at a nearby table and deliberately started speaking loudly. He claimed, "A hair sample was found in Suchart's car. The case is about to be solved." At the table across, Lavanya was quietly watching Jay's every expression. When Jay heard this, his brow furrowed, and his gaze flickered for just a moment. That single moment, Lavanya understood everything. It was no longer a suspicion. She was certain of their guilt. She immediately ordered, "Search the Li family house." This time, she didn't come alone. The entire police team, complete with sniffer dogs, burst into the house without knocking, arresting all 4 family members immediately. But Jay's mind was still steps ahead. He had coached the family on every single question and answer. During questioning, their responses were so uniform and precise that the officers became confused. Even little Anan repeated exactly what she had been taught. Lavanya grew uneasy. She wondered, how can a family be so perfect? She smiled externally, telling them, "Fine, you can go." But internally, she decided the game would now be played in the shadows. No matter the truth, she would not back down. Lavanya began chasing down everyone connected to the family's trip. The bus clerk confidently confirmed the Li family was on his bus. Hotel staff confirmed the late checkout and Jay's argument. The popcorn vendor remembered the man who knocked over the stall. Lavanya reviewed the CCTV. The family's presence in the mall and cinema was clear. Everything was so tight. It was the hardest she had ever worked to break a suspect. She changed tactics, focusing on Jay's hobby, movies. She reviewed his entire viewing history. She found he frequently rewatched mystery films, especially a Korean one called Montage. Comparing scene by scene, the more she watched, the more certain she became. Jay had recreated the film's entire plot in real life, but this was only theory. With no body and no hard proof, arresting them was difficult. Lavanya did not give up. She tracked down one of Suchart's classmates. Hesitantly, the boy handed over a hidden video. In the video, Ping Ping was clearly visible, and Suchart had brutalized her. Lavanya's eyes filled with a mix of fury, pain, and a thirst for revenge. The question was no longer why. It was a guarantee that justice, or vengeance, would be served. She ordered another raid. This time, the entire Lee family was arrested again. Some said they were a quiet, sweet family. Lavanya took command. "Dig up the boy's grave." The people gathered around the graveyard, their anger boiling over. "Don't touch our ancestors' graves!" Shouts erupted, and shoving began. The coffin lid creaked open in the dark. The crowd held its breath. What was inside? A body, but it was not the boy. It was a dead goat. This was the moment. The rage exploded like gunpowder. The crowd broke into chaos, stones were thrown, fights broke out, and posters flew in the air. The city became a war zone. In the immediate chaos of the riot, Lavanya was suspended from the police force. The following morning, her husband dropped out of the mayoral race. Everyone believed the case was closed and the Lee family was free. But once the city calmed down, Jay walked straight into the police station. He simply stated, "I will tell you where the body is buried." In a stunning revelation, Jay confessed that he had already moved Suchart's corpse and reburied it somewhere else, directly under the new foundation of the police headquarters. The digging the foreman had done earlier was a decoy. The real grave was hidden right beneath the officer's feet. This was Jay's final, perfect move, his ultimate act of defiance. The police quickly recovered the body, and the chain of evidence was complete. Jay was taken into custody. But one final, horrifying detail shook everyone to their core. Inside the coffin, on the inner lid, were deep, frantic scratch marks. These marks revealed that Suchart had not died from the host strike. He had been buried alive. He woke up in the dark, desperately clawed at the lid, and suffocated. A terrifying end. Jay had seen these marks with his own eyes. Jay knew that against powerful people like Suchart's family, they would never find true justice. His love for his family had turned him from a movie-loving repairman into a cold-blooded killer. The sheep had become the shepherd, leading his family to a dark kind of safety. If you liked this movie, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more amazing movie explanations.